Hello everyone, welcome to our course on international business. I am sure you must be doing pretty fine when you are listening to me. So, in the last lecture we had started with the currency convertibility, right, and before that we had discussed about foreign exchange, the factors affecting the foreign exchange, right. So, how foreign exchange is determined and what factors affect it and why it is important for international business, right. So, we had discussed on those. So, today we will be continuing with the same, and first we will discuss about rupee convertibility or convertibility first we will discuss today, and then we will go into the some of the theories of foreign exchange. There are basically three theories we will talk about, but let us start with the rupee convertibility. So, currency convertibility, as you understand, essentially we discussed that it means the ability of residents and non-residents to exchange domestic currency for foreign currency. That means, for example, you want to trade, make some, buy some goods or some services. In that case, you need some foreign dollars from foreign currencies for the transaction, right. So, in such conditions you would require this foreign currency, right. So, at that point of time convertibility is very important because you have to give your rupees and in exchange you have to take that foreign currency. So, in convertibility becomes very important because otherwise if there is no convertibility or very it is very rigid, then the point is business transactions become very difficult, it is not very smooth. Okay. So, currency convertibility refers to the freedom to convert the domestic currency into other internationally accepted currencies like dollar, euro, peso, whatever, right, and vice versa at market determined rates of exchange. So, what is the rate of exchange? And for example, today we say India $1 is equal to 71 rupees or it might be 72, whatever, around 71, 72. So, how does it come to that number, magical number come? So, that is basically largely dependent on the demand and supply forces in the market, right. So, how much is the rupee strengthening against the dollar or is the rupee falling against the dollar. So, what is the according to demand and supply, and it is a very dynamic feature. Okay. Currency convertibility is vitally important in the foreign exchange market because higher convertibility means that a currency is more liquid and therefore less difficult to trade, right. Suppose a currency is not easily convertible, then that means the foreign partners would not like to get associated with us and they would not like to make business because the transactions are not smooth, it is not easy. So, every time nobody would like to get into a bureaucratic and a very long process, right, nobody wants to waste time. For example, rupee can be converted in US dollars and more easily, and US dollars can be converted into in Indian currency for buying and selling of goods and services. This is an example. Okay. So, there are two popular categories when we talk about currency convertibility. Two important types are there. One called the current account convertibility, the second is called the capital account convertibility. Now, these are very important, very it is not it is easy to understand also. So, what it says, the convertibility for current international transactions, as you can understand from the word current, right, something that is on. Okay. So, when you have a when you need some convertibility for a current transaction, that is an ongoing transaction, so it is called current account convertibility. So, anything that you want to buy directly goods and services, for that whatever transaction you want to make, and in that when you want to exchange the convert that rupees into dollars or rupees into euros or euros into rupees, whatever it is called a current account convertibility. On the other hand, when the convertibility is for international capital movements, it is called capital account convertibility. So, let us see that. So, current account convertibility, the money is classified under current account, can be easily converted into dollar, yen, pound, rupee or anything for that, right. On the other hand, capital account convertibility says money classified under the capital account cannot be easily, it is a slightly complex, it is slightly complex than the current account. So, this is more complex, right, this is less, right, into different. RBI has strict guidelines For example, in Indian case the RBI has very strict guidelines for capital account convertibility. We do not have a full capital account convertibility as of now, right. So, what it is saying, let us see, current account convertibility means freedom to convert domestic currency into foreign currency and vice versa, to execute trade and in services, invisibles means services. Okay. On the other hand, capital account convertibility implies freedom of currency conversion related to capital inflows and outflows. Let us see what does it mean. So, as I had said, capital account convertibility is more complex in nature than the current account convertibility, right. Capital account convertibility is not just the currency convertibility freedom. So, this is very important, but more than that. What is more than that? It involves the freedom to invest in financial assets of other countries. So, this is what it makes more complex, right. Capital account convertibility is thus the freedom of foreign investors to purchase Indian financial assets, for example, shares, bonds, etc., in the Indian market, and that of the domestic citizens, that means like you people like us, to purchase foreign financial assets. Okay. Now, article 6 of 3 of agreement of the International Monetary Fund IMF allows members to exercise such controls as necessary to regulate international capital movements. So, the IMF desires that there has to be a free movement, right, but not so as to restrict payments for current transactions, right. So, it allows the members to exercise controls, right. What is this current account transaction? Now, let us see some examples. All imports and exports of merchandise, this is for current account, right. Invisible, this is service oriented, right. Exports and imports. Inward private remittances, so somebody is working, he is sending salary or whatever. Pension payments, government grants. So, these are all the come under the example of current account transactions. Okay. What is there in let us see the other one, transactions relating to inflows and outflows of capital, borrowing from or lending abroad, sales and purchase of securities abroad, right. So, all this is abroad actually, right. So, capital account transactions are like capital direct foreign investments, investment in securities, government loans, short term investments. Now, you can see this classification how capital account transactions are classified. So, under portfolio investment, direct investment and other investment. So, under portfolio investment you have stocks, bonds, bank loans, derivatives. Okay. Under direct investment you have real estate, production facilities, equity, right. So, somebody is making FDI or something, right, that case. Other investments are holdings in loans, bank accounts and currencies. So, this is the basic difference between the capital and the current account convertibility. Now, what is the case in India? Till 1991, one had to get permission from the government or the RBI, the central bank, as the case may be, to procure foreign currency, say the US dollars for any purpose, right. 1991 was a time when we had liberalization. Now, be it import of raw material, travel abroad, right, procuring books or paying fees for a ward, who is studying abroad, anything you want any transaction. So, you need permission. Similarly, any exporter who exports goods or services and brings foreign currency into the country has to surrender the foreign exchange to RBI and get it converted at a rate predetermined by the RBI. So, this exercise was highly controlled. Till 1991 it was extremely there was a lot of rigidity and it was not liquid at all, right. It was very less liquid. Up to 1991, so this there was rigid control on both capital and the current account. Okay. But in 1991 we saw some change, right. India opened up its boundaries and we went for liberalization, privatization and globalization. So, India accepted the IMF rules for currency reforms. After the announcement of the economic liberalization in 1991, the government of India announced partial convertibility of rupee from March 1, 1992. Now, this is very important date because this was the time when India was seeing a major change in its economic condition. So, under this partial convertibility, 40% of the current account transactions were convertible in rupee at officially determined exchange rate. So, the RBI was determining the exchange rate, right, and remaining 60% at market determined exchange rate. So, what had happened? So, 40% and 60%. So, 40% is what the RBI would determine, 60% is the market forces would determine, right. India is still a country of partial convertibility in the capital account, right. In March 1994, even indivisibles and remittances from abroad were allowed to be freely convertible into rupees at market determined exchange rate on the basis of the strict guidelines. There was a committee, so I will talk about this. Capital account convertibility was introduced in India in August 1994. Okay. So, capital account convertibility was introduced in 1994. In 97, the government set up a very important, this is called the Tarapur committee, to spell out a road map for the full convertibility of the rupee. Okay. RBI appointed the second Tarapur committee to set out the framework for full capital account convertibility, because capital account has its own difficulties. So, they set up a committee to discuss on that. The committee was established to revisit the subject of full capital account convertibility in the context of the progress in economic reforms. So, as reforms were happening, so they started thinking whether it should be, we should move ahead towards a full capital account convertibility. The stability of the external and financial sectors, accelerated growth and global integration. For looking at these conditions, they thought over it. The report was made public on 1st September 2006 and had a roadmap for 2011 as the target date for fuller capital account convertibility of rupee. The government is adopting a cautious approach, taking into consideration all aspects and the risks involved in opening up the economy by allowing convertibility. Now, what are the major risks that can happen, right? For example, why is the government thinking about it? See, it is not that simple that we open up the market as we wish, because by opening up the market, we are, that means allowing others also to buy assets in India. So, that how intelligent is it and how safe is it, we do not know. So, till we are not sure about our own productivity, our people's productivity, our nation's policies and our strength, we cannot make it fully open, right. So, the government has been going with a lot of caution, they have been going slowly, right, for that. So, you have understood now capital account convertibility and current account convertibility, what convertibility means, right. So, it is very important we have understood. Now, so when we are talking about the, after this we will talk about a few exchange rate theories, right. So, what is this? Let us see. As we have started, we have understood at the most basic level, exchange rates are determined by the demand and supply of one currency related to the demand and supply of another. So, we have said, we have understood that exchange, how do you determine the exchange rate? The exchange rate is determined by the demand and supply of one currency in comparison to the other. For example, let us say how much of demand of rupee is there in comparison to the dollar, or how much of euro is in demand, what is the supply level. So, this demand and supply level in the market dictates the transaction, the exchange rates. Okay. For example, you see, if the demand for dollar outstrips the supply of them, that means demand is greater than the supply, and if the supply of Japanese yen is greater than the demand for them, that means in case of this is dollar, right, and this is yen. Now, in this case demand is less and supply is more, let us say, right. The dollar yen exchange rate will change, the dollar will appreciate against the yen, the dollar will appreciate against the yen, or the yen will depreciate against the dollar. Can you let us revisit again, what is it saying? In case of dollar, the demand is more, the supply is less. What the demand, the dollar outstrips the supply, right. So, demand is pretty high, supply is comparatively less. So, there is a high demand. Now, in the case of yen, the supply is more, that means there are more yen in the market, but the demand is still not as much. So, what will happen now? The yen will depreciate against the dollar, or the dollar will appreciate against the yen. Now, this is a situation where the dollar the yen becomes cheaper. So, as it becomes cheaper, automatically what happens? It helps the Japanese exports. Okay. but it does not reveal what factors underlie the demand for and supply of a currency. What are the factors? When the demand for dollars will exceed the supply, when the demand for dollars will exceed the supply, or when the supply of Japanese yen will exceed the demand for them, it is very difficult to say, right. Under what conditions a currency is in demand and under what conditions it is not demanded, right. So, because it can be predicted, everything can be predicted, but the point is there are so many invisible theories and so many invisible factors involved in it, that to capture all of them in a nutshell and at one go is a very difficult task. It is not easy at all, right. So, economic theories of exchange will give us a deeper understanding of how exchange rates are determined, right. So, there are three theories we will talk about. One, the purchasing power parity theory, right, in which it is there are two types, again absolute purchasing power parity and relative purchasing power parity. Then we will talk about the interest rate parity theory and the Fisher effect, right. So, let us see if we can complete all of them today, right. So, what it is saying, purchasing power parity theory, this is given by, this is one of the oldest theories of exchange rate determination, right. It was developed by Gustav Cassel in 1918. He must have been a very wise man. What did he say? Purchasing power parity is an economic theory that allows the comparison of the purchasing power of various world currencies to one another. So, let us see again what he is saying. It allows the comparison of the purchasing power, how much your currency can buy, right, in comparison to another currency. It is a theoretical exchange rate that allows you to buy the same amount of goods and services in every country. That means, to buy, let us say you want to buy a Coca-Cola, let us say you want to buy a Coca-Cola. So, how much are you going to pay in US dollars, how much you are going to pay in Australian dollars, right, say how much are you going to pay in Indian rupees, right. So, how much you are going to pay in some other country. So, what it is saying is basically it allows you to buy the same amount of good, that is one bottle of Coca-Cola, and services in every country, how much you are going to spend, right. So, government agencies use PPP, this purchasing power parity, to compare the output of countries that use different exchange rates, right. So, the government uses this to compare the output, right. Now, as I said, it is one of the oldest theories, right, and this theory is states that in ideally efficient markets. So, you know the efficient market theory, and identical goods should have only one price. If there is an efficient market and the identical goods are there and you are using the same currency, the price should be same, right. It is based on the law of one price loop, right. So, let us see this. So, what is this law of one price? The law of one price states that in the absence, efficient market, right, in the absence of trade frictions, that means there is no trade friction, and conditions of free competition and price flexibility, all identical goods, whatever be the market, whatever market it is, must have only one price if they are using a common currency. So, if you are using a common currency, that means suppose let us say in market A, B, C, if I use buy through dollar, the same value of good, this what would be the bottle of Coca-Cola in terms of dollars in India, in terms of dollars in America, in terms of dollars in England, in different markets. Suppose we use a common currency, what would be the price, right. The two goods are not in the same market, then if the two goods are not in the same market, then arbitrage would operate to equalize the prices. Now, you have understood what is arbitrage. Arbitrage means when there is a differential in price in two markets. So, the a person who is intelligent and opportunistic in nature would like to buy it at the from the market where it is less at price and sell it at the in the market where it is of a higher, it fetches a higher price, and the difference that he gets is what is his profit, right. So, assumes that there will be no transportation cost, tariff, taxes, quota, trade barriers, etc. So, but this is a limitation of the theory, because it says these are some of the things which it assumes that it will not be there, but how is it possible, right. But if you keep it, then it is very difficult to measure. So, that is why these assumptions are generally made. Okay. It relates to a particular commodity, security, asset, etc., and not applicable to immobile goods such as houses. We do not talk about immobile goods, right. Let us take this example. Suppose that $1 is currently selling for 50 Indian rupees. For a calculation, we have taken 50, it is not actually 50, it is 70 now. In the United States, suppose a cricket bat sells for $40, while in India they sell for 750 rupees. So, since $1 is 50 Indian rupees, the bat which cost $40 in the US, right, cost only how much in Indian, if in the terms of Indian rupees, how much? Now, 750 divided by 50 is 15, or this 40 into 50 is 2000 rupees in Indian currency, but whereas we are actually getting in 750. So, clearly there is an advantage of buying the bat in India. So, consumers would be happier to buy the bat in India. So, this is what actually happens in the international market, that this is how the transactions between countries happen. For example, if the Japanese suppose in yen, if you buy and you can buy, let us say the yen is cheaper, then you can buy more of the bats by through the $40 suppose, or $100, whatever amount, that fixed amount, you can buy more of the products. So, that, and you can sell maybe at a higher price in again US market. So, that is the difference which business people or exporters get, right, that during the international transactions. Okay. Continuing with the above example, if consumers decide to do this, we should expect to see three things. What are these? American consumers' demand for Indian rupees would increase, right, which will cause the Indian rupee to be more expensive with time. Slowly, when the Indian rupees demand will go up, right, because with Indian rupees they are able to buy more number of bats, because obviously they cannot buy through dollars directly, no. So, they have to exchange the currency. So, the demand for the rupees will go up. Now, with as the demand for the rupees is going up, so the rupee will tend to become more expensive with time. The demand for cricket bats sold in the United States would decrease, and hence its price would tend to decrease, right, because it is becoming costlier in the United States. The increase in demand for cricket bats in India would make them more expensive. So, these are all interrelated. So, as the increase in demand for cricket bats goes up, because it is cheaper also, right, slowly the price would tend to move up because the demand is growing. Thus, the prices in the US and India would start moving towards an equilibrium. So, this is very interesting, right. In an ideal scenario, what would happen? Prices in both the countries would become equal at some price point. So, for example, you started with 2000 as per US and India had 750. So, this will start growing and here the demand will start falling. So, there will be a point where they both would maybe at let us say 1300 rupees or something, at some point they would match. The increased demand for rupee, for instance, may lead an increase in its value, so that $1 is equal to 40 Indian rupee. Instead of 50, it will become 40 Indian rupee, let us say if the demand goes up, right. Second, that means what? The Indian rupee has become costlier now, right. Earlier it was for $1 you had 50 rupees, now with $1 you can only buy 40 rupees. Secondly, due to decrease in demand for the bats, the price drops to $30, right. So, the price which was 2000 or $40 now has come down to $30. So, $30 means how much in our condition now? It is almost 1200 rupees, because it is now 40, right. So, thirdly, the increase in demand for the bat in India takes its price up to 1200, from 750 it moves up to 1200. So, you see, so now there is a equilibrium point that is reaching. So, here and here, so if you look at this, so we are coming to a point of equilibrium. At these levels you can see that the price, that there is purchase power price parity between both the currencies. Okay. This also means that whether you buy the bat in US or in India, it is one and the same thing for the consumer. Okay. types of PPP. So, what are the various types of PPP? So, as we said, the first one is the absolute PPP, right. So, what is it saying? The absolute purchase power parity, right, postulates that the equilibrium exchange rate between currencies of two countries is equal to the ratio of the price levels in the two nations. We will see what does it mean. Therefore, the price of a product in country X and the price of an identical product, let us say the bat again, in country Y, in Y's currency, should be such that the ratio of the prices in the exchange rate, the ratio of the prices is the exchange rate between the currencies of these two countries. Now, what is it saying? Let us see. So, the price of a product in country X divided by the price of a product in country Y is equal to currency of the value of the currency of the country X by the currency of the country Y. The value, here we mean the value, right, or P x divided by P y is equal to x divided by y. Since x divided by y is the direct rate for country X, right, P x divided by P y is equal to, so you can understand. So, this is important, right. So, we understand that price, the ratio between the price is equal to the value of the currencies, right. Suppose, take this example, particular basket of goods cost rupees 7,000 in India, a basket of goods, let us say a bat, a wicket keeping gloves, a ball, a stumps, whatever, and $100 in the USA. That means, what does it mean? The same basket of goods is 7,000 in India. So, that means what, 70 rupees is equal to $1. So, x by y is equal to p x by p y, let us see. So, what is it saying? So, rupee by the dollar, right, is equal to 7,000 by 100, which is 70. This is what it tries to find out. Okay. Now, this is the first one, you talked about the absolute, this is absolute, right, but let us see the other one now. There is another form which is called the relative PPP theory. Now, what does it mean? It says the purchasing power of currency changes due to inflation or deflation, whatever. So, it is inflation basically. So, whenever there is inflation, price level will go up, increases. Quantity of goods that can be purchased by 1 unit of the currency will go down because it is costlier now. So, thus the purchasing power also declines and vice versa. Suppose it would have gone, the price level would have gone down. So, quantity of goods would have now improved. So, it would have been vice versa. Thus, inflation or deflation affect the exchange rates. So, it has a major impact. What does it say? Relative purchasing power parity is an economic theory which predicts a relationship between the inflation rates of two countries, right, over a specified period and the movement in the exchange rate between their two currencies over the same period. So, it is a dynamic version of the absolute PPP theory. So, the absolute theory was more less dynamic, this is more dynamic in nature. The difference in the rate of change in prices at home and abroad minus the difference in the inflation rates is equal to the percentage depreciation or appreciation of the exchange rate. So, this difference is important to us. Let us say if Canada has an inflation rate of 1%, okay, 1% Canada, US has an inflation rate of 3%. So, the US dollar will depreciate against the Canadian dollar by 2% per year. This is what it means to say. Okay. Let us take this example. Suppose T is equal to 0 base period, right, POD or the price of the commodity in domestic country during the base period, POF price of the commodity in foreign country, F stands for foreign, domestic, during the base period, right. So, the exchange rate, the spot rate, the exchange rate means the spot rate means the at the same point of time, right. What is the exchange rate? Is equal to SO is equal to P0D, right, price of the commodity in the domestic country during the base period by the foreign market in the foreign country, right. Suppose if the price changes due to inflation, after 1 year the situation will be what? Let us see, after 1 year. So, P1D and P1F price of the commodity in domestic country after 1 year, price of the commodity in foreign country after 1 year. So, the exchange rate now S1 is equal to P1D by P1F, right, the new rate. So, P1D is what? Now, the P0D, the base year rate plus inflation in the domestic country. P1F is the P0F plus inflation in the foreign country. If inflation in domestic country is equal to ID, inflation in foreign country is equal to IF, let us say. So, what is S1 now? S1 is equal to S0, that means the rate, spot rate at the base period, base year, right, into 1 plus ID into 1 plus IF. So, this is what is the finally the formula looks like. So, P0D which you this one, right, applying here. So, we get this. So, this is the percentage change, this is here S1 minus S0 divided by S0, right. So, this is the problem we will wind up here with this example. The price of 1 kg orange in India is, let us say, Indian rupees 50 and that in USA is $1, right. So, inflation rate in India is 20%, assume, just it is not there, but assume USA is 10%. Determine the new exchange rate, right. So, when T is 0, what is the S0 spot rate? Now, this one. So, that is 50 is to 1, 51, right. After 1 year, inflation is 20% or 0.2, in USA it is 10% or 0.1. So, what is the new formula? So, 50 with this one 50 by 1 which is 50, right, into 1 plus 0.2 divided by 1 plus 0.1, right. So, this formula, just if you look this one, right, this part. So, that becomes 54.45 is to 1. So, that means 1 now at the present rate the new spot rate is exchange rate, that is the $1 is equal to, now instead of 54 it is 50 it is 54.45 rupees, right. So, this is how the purchasing power parity theory works, right. So, we will today, because there is less time we cannot continue, we will continue this in the next class, right, and till then thank you very much, have a great day.